I'm a seed stock breeder, happen to be the third largest one in the nation. So anything that happens in the beef industry, I'm literally betting the farm on it. I've spent the last 30 years of my lifetime improving not only the performance, but the carcass value and marbling and eating quality and tenderness of the cattle I'm breeding. During that time, I've seen a dramatic change when the American Angus Association started CAB, because we were in a commodity business then, and we aren't as much a commodity as we think we are. When I fed cattle my entire life, besides selling about 1,000 bulls a year.
Whoa.
And so I've seen the beef industry to now, over half the choice cattle are now branded products, in addition to certified Angus beef. So we've moved to a branded product. Well, when you have a branded product, quality or healthfulness or something becomes paramount, and most of them are based on high quality. The way the packers and stockyards are the reporting are going to be used is it's in effect going to cause the packer not to take any risk, and he's going to tend to buy cattle all at the same price. I've been through that. I went through that in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and I know that was a time when we lost beef demand and when I had trouble paying my bills. When we went to a grid-based system where I sold my cattle on the basis of their value to the consumer and the public, not the packer, the consumer, was when we separated the high quality producers from the low producers. I'm terrified that when the government gets involved in this, we're going to go back to the 30s and the 40s and the 50s when all cattle sell for the same price. And it'll be bad for the farmer, it will be bad for the consumer, and it will be bad for America. Right now in Iowa, we're talking a lot about buy local, buy from family farms. I couldn't agree more. Our operation is a family farm. But how in the world is anyone going to raise natural beef, organic beef? You can't do it on a commodity price. What incentive is there going to be for a packer who's partners of ours in this chain? He isn't an adversary, or she is an adversary. Right. They're a partner for these specialty products that are organic, drug-free, and all the rest, which one part of the government's saying we ought to be raising that, and on the other one, because it all comes down to the bottom line. A disgruntled artist once said when federal funding was cut for the arts, he said, economics always triumph over art. Economics always triumph over everything, including capitalism, and this is a giant step backwards. It directly impacts the Angus business right now because Angus is the supplier for most of the high quality branded beef products. But I see that it's going to affect other breeds as well, because these other breeds are going to find niches for their branded products, be it lean meat or some other niche. So it affects anyone that is breeding cattle and feeding cattle for a specific market, and these markets are consumer driven. Secretary Vilsack, I know Secretary Vilsack. I'm from Iowa. He's a good man and a good person. He's getting some bad advice from some people, and I don't think this thing is over, and I think we will find compromises so we have more transparency in how it's priced and so on, and I think we as a consumer, cattle feeder, cattle producer, seed stock breeder will somehow rationally do something that's the best for everyone. One of the things that I do like in the rules is that we are revisiting the 1930 specs, which haven't been enforced for years. And I don't like laws and rules and regs on the book that aren't enforced. I just don't like that at all. So I think that we need to change what's wrong with the packers and stockyard, and we ought to change the things that need change, keep the things that are good. Because there's one thing about packers and stockyards we absolutely don't want to lose, and that is that I can sell my cattle at a sale barn, to a packer, and I get a check that clears and is good. And that's really important to the cattle business.
I understand this concept, tell me if I'm wrong, and that is that if this thing always goes through and passes as it is, it's really going to eliminate the possibility of having variability on the prices.
I think so too, and it isn't because the regs prohibit variation in prices. It's because it puts such an onus of liability on the person it puts the burden of proof on the packer of why he paid this person more than he paid that person. And with anything is worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. And packers and we cattlemen know that you come up short for certain cuts or certain kind of cattle or something, and so they have to bid those cattle up to pull them forward, and then they do. Well, my brother-in-law that sells his a week later says, "My God, how come old Dave got more? I think I'll just sue the guy." You know, my sister's got a cousin that's a lawyer that would like to do that. And first of all, become familiar with the role that these branded beef products play, which is a big one, and then decide that if you really want to go to the lowest common denominator, because commodity beef or corn or wheat or anything always goes to the lowest common denominator, because we producers are not going to produce anything more than what the market will pay for. I sell corn, not much, but I sell a little corn, and the commodity corn is 15.5% moisture with 1% weed seeds. So I'm going to deliver corn that's 15.4% moisture with 9.9% weed seeds. And that could very well happen with GIPSA if we have the price all the same.